We are at the junction of Hennif Way, the notorious Hennif Way in Banbury, and Ermont Way. And as we consider some of the issues with the infrastructure in Banbury, some of the impacts on traffic, there seems no better place to start to look at how the infrastructure has not improved significantly for such a long time, despite the continual growth of the town. And what this has meant is that over time the roads become more and more congested as the infrastructure struggles more and more to cope with the traffic that's expected to be dealt with. So we're going to have a look at some of the traffic hotspots on this side of Banbury and the impact of the infrastructures that we have and the problems that are experienced with traffic. We are at junction 11 of the M40, so Banbury Junction. Now the M40 stretch that goes past Banbury was opened in the late 80s, early 90s, and back then it was a great improvement to the infrastructure of Banbury. The A422, which we're standing on, was also dual carriaged, but that is over 30 years ago, and Banbury has grown massively in that time, as well as the surrounding villages and the areas that surround Banbury. But unfortunately, the infrastructure has not changed. So this junction in front of us is now the main route into Banbury from anyone travelling from the West Northamptonshire villages. Further, if we just pan across, we have the A361 there, the other side of Huscote Farm. People travelling from Woodford Holes, Daventry, and all the villages alongside. So further ahead behind me, we have people travelling from Towcester, all of Northamptonshire, people travelling across from the M1. All of those people who want to get to Banbury have to come across the junction 11 that's here in front of us. This just creates a massive bottleneck. Now at this point, mid-afternoon on a Wednesday afternoon, the traffic is flowing freely, but anyone that uses this route on any kind of regular basis will know that sadly it is not always the case. Any kind of incident on the M40 or in Banbury will see this area brought to a standstill within minutes, and it literally takes hours to clear. So if we add more warehouse development to this area, it's only going to add to the problems that we already see. We are here today at Hennif Way, where it meets Concord Avenue over the other side of the roundabout. Now, Hennif Way was built in the early 2000s to take the pressure off the main routes into Banbury, notably the Middleton Road. Unfortunately, although Hennif Way may have done its job when it was first built, it no longer serves the infrastructure of Banbury. And although at this time, on a Friday lunchtime, it is running fairly freely, congestion on the Hennif Way is a regular occurrence, which has a knock-on effect to the traffic, both the other side of the M40 over at on the A422 up towards Milton Cheney, the A361 towards Daventry, all through Banbury and out onto the other side of Banbury. Let's talk about air pollution on Hennif Way. Hennif Way is known to be one of the most air polluted roads in the area. In fact, levels pre-pandemic were around twice the safe levels that are accepted by national standards. Having such high levels means that the councils need to intervene. Banbury Guardian article quoted the council as talking about how, whilst the pollution levels on Hennif Way have reduced during lockdown, they remain well above what is considered safe levels by national standards. And the council itself acknowledge that there's limited scope to bring them down due to it being the main route between the town and the M40. So it seems that whilst it could be accepted that there's little that can be done to reduce the pollution levels, then we should at least be making sure that we don't make them worse by adding more traffic volumes, because of course congestion, stationary traffic, adds way more to the pollution levels than does moving traffic. So building warehouses east of the M40 of course is going to add huge volumes of traffic to Hennif Way, and it simply can't cope. Now, as part of the application for the live Huscote Farm planning application, an application to build around 10 warehouses on the historical agricultural farmland, the applicants suggest that they would be willing, by way of a Section 106 agreement, to contribute just over £1 million towards the works to ease congestion on Hennif Way. What would £1 million do? Not very much in this day and age. And how could congestion be eased? It's simply something that cannot be fixed in a quick way. The infrastructure around Banbury needs a holistic approach, a real review of everything to work out how congestion can be eased. But it's not a simple fix, and certainly something that £1 million wouldn't go very far towards. Now, I have no knowledge on road planning or what schemes may be considered to ease congestion, but it is clear to me that it's not an easy thing to do, because where would the traffic be diverted to ease the congestion? Bearing in mind that Hennif Way, its very purpose was to ease congestion on other routes of Banbury, it's now in a position where it needs its own congestion eased. But where could that traffic be diverted? If we headed along Ermont Way, well, warehouses have been built as far as the railway line that way, so no road could be built on that side. and on the other side we have a retail estate, the Gateway Park. So again, hard to see how congestion could be eased. Certainly nothing that that level of money would go anywhere near touching. And you can actually see now the traffic is building up on this Friday lunchtime, not surprisingly, although it's still, for the area, still moving very, very well. So if you yourself have found yourself stuck in the traffic in this area, if you believe that adding more warehouses would impact negatively on the traffic, please do take the time to leave your comments on the Cherwell District Planning portal. One thing to mention in relation to Hennif Way, so we came off Hennif Way and we are now on Concord Avenue, but Hennif Way pre-pandemic was rated as the 3rd worst polluted road in the southeast, in the whole of the southeast. Let's just try and put that into context. We tried to find some information to give some context to what that actually means. The 3rd, there's only two roads more polluted in the whole of the southeast than Hennif Way in Banbury. Now there's said to be over 500 miles of motorway and A roads in the southeast. So that makes you think Hennif Way is more polluted than our motorways. So we tried also to get some context, and we found a listing of road names. And what that told us was that in the whole of Oxfordshire there is around 18,000 roads. Let's just go back to the fact that Hennif Way is the 3rd worst polluted of those roads. In Cherwell has just over 4,000 roads, over 4,000 roads in the whole of the district, and Hennif Way in Banbury is the 3rd most polluted. Let's just let that sink in. So here we are on the Overthorpe Road, a minor road that runs from the historical rural villages in West Northamptonshire along to Banbury. If I pan round, you'll get your bearings as we see the bowling green in front of me there. So it's hard to consider that the infrastructure in Banbury is so broken and in such a poor state of doing what it should be doing, that it's suggested that a link road from the A422 to this minor road is necessary in order to try to resolve some of the problems. Let's just let that sink in for a second. We have an A road that's dual carriageway down from the Middleton roundabout to junction 11, is so poor at holding the traffic volume that it needs to, that it's considered that moving traffic across to this minor road is needed. So apart from the fact that moving traffic from an A road to a minor road seems ludicrous, the other situation is that once the traffic comes over the motorway and reaches Banbury, the traffic will turn onto Ermont Way, and then the nature of people is going to be to then head to Banbury up the Middleton Road therefore completely avoiding Hennif Way, which was actually built to take the pressure off of the Middleton Road. It seems that really the planners need to take a step back and really consider how the infrastructure can be improved, rather than small adjustments that actually in the long term are just going to make the situation worse. And of course, the longer that it's left, the worse that things get, because the more that Banbury grows, the less area there is to be able to resolve these issues. So we are at the bottom of Middleton Road, right ahead of me, before the road was truncated for the building of the M40 in the late 80s, early 90s, would have carried straight on the road to Northamptonshire. The reason that I wanted to talk about this point is that with the suggestion of a link road joining the A422 to Overthorpe Road, a ludicrous idea to relieve pressure from an A road onto a minor road, would bring the traffic down this way. So the traffic diverted on Overthorpe Road would then turn on onto Ermont Way, which runs in front of us. So it's unlikely that the traffic would carry on to use Hennif Way, which was actually built to relieve the congestion on Middleton Road. The traffic would simply come up the Middleton Road, which already has its own problems due to the poor infrastructure in and around Banbury. We are here on the A422 in between Huscote and Nethercote, on the A422 dual carriageway that runs from Middleton Cheney down to the junction 11 of the M40. Now, anybody using this route on a regular basis will know that it is a challenge. The smallest amount of traffic anywhere in Banbury causes backlog all the way up this dual carriageway, and can take what should be just a 5-minute journey from, for example, Middleton Cheney into Banbury, can take anywhere up to an hour. So it is Friday lunchtime and we are here on the Middleton Road in Banbury. So prior to Hennif Way being built, this was the main road into Banbury. Hennif Way was built around 20 years ago in order to relieve the congestion from this road, but unfortunately the town has grown and the infrastructure has not, so Hennif Way no longer serves its purpose, and as we can see, we now also have congestion again on the Middleton Road. So it's really important that before we consider adding more volume of traffic to the roads, that we take a holistic view to actually sort out the infrastructure that we have, so that it actually has the capacity to serve the volume of traffic that is using it without creating endless traffic. So we can see here we are heading out of Banbury on the Middleton Road, and the traffic goes beyond the roundabout where the church is. Lots of congestion for our traffic. So we are here on Concord Way, as we head into Banbury town centre. So this runs from Henneth Way along from that Relief Road along into the town centre. Notoriously congested. Friday lunchtime here, so the traffic is still running fairly freely, but this just helps to show the traffic problems in Banbury aren't isolated to one particular area, and actually the infrastructure does need to be improved before more traffic is brought onto these roads. So we can't talk about the issues affecting the traffic and the poor infrastructure on this side of Banbury without giving mention to the A361. So the A361 is the traffic entering the roundabout. We're here at the M40 junction 11, and the traffic in front of us is coming off of the A361. So the A361 brings traffic to Banbury from Daventry, from Woodford Halls, and the villages all along the way. This is notoriously congested. The warehouses recently built at Frontier Park have yet to open, so we haven't even seen the impact of the additional traffic that they will bring. So here we have seen a brief exploration of the infrastructure and some of the issues that are faced on the roads on the east side of Banbury. It's important to mention that traffic issues are experienced across the whole of Banbury, right across and out the other side. All of the infrastructure in Banbury is heavily linked together, so therefore an issue on any of the roads will have repercussions throughout the whole network. Even a traffic issue on one side of Banbury can bring the whole of Banbury and out the other side to a standstill. So we'll leave it for you to decide whether you think that, given the current infrastructure and the lack of development that this has seen, or the lack of improvement this has seen over the last couple of decades, whether you feel that it's appropriate to be allowing more development east of the M40, bringing more traffic volumes to a road structure that already can't handle what it has. If you have any opinion on this, then you can comment on the live planning applications on Cherwell District Council planning portal anytime up until a decision is made. If you're not able to use the portal, then you can send your comments in writing. Thank you very much for watching.